Welcome back. Oh, no. Hello. We're so glad you guys are back. So we thought we would do something different and do
more serious.
Yes, a little bit more serious.
We can be serious.
Cue dramatic music.
So we thought we'd do a topic video for you today. So this is going to be a tips to survive middle school and high school. We never explained, in the last video we asked you guys to comment how old you think we are, and no one commented.
Van and I are still...
we're high school seniors.
Yeah.
I am, if I were still in college, I would be a sophomore.
She graduated in 1 year out of college.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we'll just dive right in.
Middle school, I've learned, I have a little sister who's in middle school, and one thing that I've learned from watching her is that, you know, middle school kids can be really mean because in middle school you're so insecure, because middle school is the time where you try to figure out who you are as a person, you know, what group you fit into, and you don't need to do that in middle school, but so many kids think they need to. You either find who you are and you can be secure in that, or you try and be something that you're not, and it leads down a path of hurt and like problems and issues.
I think you'll find that some of the meanest people in high school had problems in middle school. Middle school is the time where people really need to realize how important this time is for the growth and you, like as a person, and figuring out who you are and figuring out who you are not.
When we were in middle school, like, you know, how popular you were depending on, you know, who you hung out with, what you wore, how you talked, you know, where you lived, like what house you lived in or whatever.
You know,
That's just not true. That's not like that's not.
And it was such a weird mindset. Everybody
It was
was
a stereotype.
And what does that mean for you to be popular? Like, what does that get you in life? Does it get you better grades? In the grand scheme of things, say 10 years down the road, whether this girl liked you, whether you fit into their friendship group, that's not going to be on your radar. You're going to have a family, you're going to have a job, you're going to have a career. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to say cool things, you don't have to, you know, be all snappy and have quick, witty comebacks in order to make people like you. Middle school and high school is just a very, very short amount of time.
The concept of being popular is so twisted that, you know, popular should be, you know, you're liked because you're nice to everybody.
Yeah.
I always say that it's better to have everybody like you because you're nice rather than have everybody know you because you're mean.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
What it gives you is a bunch of people who you think are your friends, but when it comes to it, when you need their backup, they're not going to be there to give it to you. Anything someone is saying to you it's not a truth they believe. So they don't, if someone's saying that they don't think you're pretty, they really don't believe that. They're believing a lie about themselves.
They tell you the lie that they believe about themselves.
To make themselves feel better.
So next time you hear that, I always say fight that with kindness.
And if you do that enough, if they're always picking at you and you know, you just say something nice back, they're going to realize they can't bug you.
Yeah.
It's what they say doesn't bother you. And then they'll just stop doing it because it's pointless.
Yeah. Because if you realize who you are, you're like, I'm awesome, I am loved, I am, you know, fill in the blank, then anything they say doesn't matter because you know the truth about yourself.
It makes a huge difference when you say that stuff out loud too. If you just say positive stuff about yourself out loud, like it'll change you instantly.
Discovered from experience, like there's so much power in declaring the truth out loud. There's just something about it where you say it out loud and you know you yourself you hear it.
You
receive it.
Even if it's weird, I promise you it's going to be weird. But
who cares?
Yeah, it's going to be awkward. You're like, okay, I'm pretty, I'm beautiful, I'm valuable. You know, to say those things out loud to yourself, it almost sounds arrogant and conceited, but it is not. It is the absolute 100% truth. And when you say that, when you begin to declare those things and really believe those things, then like your world will change.
No.
If you act like you're not secure, if you act like you're not cool, if you act not uncomfortable in the clothes you wear, then people pick up on those like attitudes and they will begin to think. So some of the things you think about yourself, people pick up on that. So now it's high school time. So now we've graduated.
High school.
You're like, oh my gosh, high school. like there's this high
School Musical says we have to let it go.
Okay.
We love High School Musical.
Musical.
There are still times where you will care so much about what people think of you, and
There can be a lot of pressure, but
a lot of pressure to do stuff that you shouldn't do and you don't want to do.
You deal with the pressures, and the pressures you didn't have before bring out what you didn't know you had in you in middle school. If that makes sense. So maybe not.
I don't know if that makes sense.
I don't know.
There's probably nobody who could say that they didn't have any stress in high school. And if they did, they're lying. They're lying to you.
You're
They're lying to you.
It's a big lie. Stress is a huge factor in high school, and if you don't learn how to handle this correctly, then it's not gonna be fun.
Yeah. There are proven health and physical problems associated with stress.
I think
there
it
are
makes your hair turn gray.
I think that's not real.
I think that is real.
That's not what I thought you were gonna say.
Hair fall out?
Anyway, I don't know exactly what it is, but Matthew 6, paraphrasing, it says, "Don't worry about tomorrow, for today has enough troubles of its own." We do have 2 practical tips to kind of go along with this.
One thing I've learned with stress is just to breathe and take everything that you need to do one step at a time. With me, I know I would try and keep everything that I had to do in my head. Like, I have to take this test, I have to go to this, I have to do this. And it was all getting cluttered in my head, and I was so stressed out all the time. And I was just it was crazy. And I actually, tip number 2, this helped me, especially in your senior year. You have all these tests, you're applying for college, you have to do all this stuff. Get a planner. Because the minute I got my planner, I wrote everything down that I've been trying to remember. And then I just let it leave my head. I didn't have to remember, I didn't have to think about it. I just checked my planner every week and just say, all right, I have this, and let it be like that. And it took off so much stress. I can't even begin to explain how much stress it took away from me.
Yeah, there's a great song. It's called "Breathe" by Johnny Diaz. Diaz, I think. If you're really just you're overwhelmed and you need a song, you just need to kind of just let everything out and just kind of go listen to that song. It's really good.
Now to finish this out, we're going to tell you what has helped us survive all the crazy relationships in high school and how we've made it out alive.
If we were to narrow down this whole video to one thing, this would be it.
And what we find our identity in.
What we find our identity in is number 1, 100% Jesus Christ. The word identity, it's kind of hard to understand. What does it mean to know who your identity is? What is your identity in? I think a good way to explain it is what do you base your worth on?
Going through high school, we really had to figure out what do I stand for, and then not sway on what we stand for. And once we'd established what our identity is and who it was in, then we could figure out what we stood for, and we stood firmly in that. Because we know someone who says this all the time, and they say, if you don't stand for something, then you'll fall for anything. And it's very true.
Not necessarily on a spiritual or religious standpoint, but just in general, what do you say this is okay and this is not okay? If you haven't thought this out, all of these pressures, all the new things that you're encountering in high school, they will change you. They will change what you think, how you think about things. So you need, before you get all these pressures, you need to sit down and be okay, what do I actually believe? Not what my parents believe, not what my friends believe, but what do I as a person believe?
At the end of the day, we've learned that all we should care about is what God says about us and not what anybody else says about us. But what you need to figure out is what you believe. That is the most important thing you could do in high school.
And what God believes about you. Because He made you special, He made you for a purpose. And so when you let Him speak that into your heart, that's where you find your worth. That's where you find the truth. Because anything people tell you, anything that might come up against you, that's not the truth. The only thing that is 100% the truth. Even things I say, they aren't the truth.
Things you tell yourself.
Things I tell myself, things, even good things, because the only person who can speak the truth is the creator of the truth. And that's
good.
Woo,
That's good. Woo!
so good.
Thank you, Jesus.
Just know what's truth and what's not truth. And even when things, I promise you, things can seem 100% true, but I promise you they're not. And just saying that, just speaking what you know is the truth and what God says is the truth about you, which you learn through His Word, that's where you really begin to establish who you are and what your identity is and isn't in. And it changes your life.
Those of you who are just going into middle school, just going into high school, these are things that you need to keep in the back of your head.
Yeah.
And just remember.
And we are not condemning you. At 100%, like we're not at all. We're not condemning. If you fit in a category that we talked about today that we
Sounded like a negative.
we said it with a negative connotation, then please hear our hearts on that, because we really do care. We want to help you guys. So I think that's kind of the end of the video, but we hope you guys have a great rest of your day. If you have topics you want us to talk about, maybe us being single, the
Dating,
single life, dating, or if you have any other ideas you want us to talk about, spiritual, not just about life, just comment below, like this video, subscribe to our channel. We're going to be doing more videos here in the next couple weeks, and we have some fun stuff planned. So we love you guys, and
See you next time.
see you later. Bye. Is number one 100% Jesus Christ.
Bad timing.
Say that again. Wait. 100% is Jesus Christ. I keep getting interrupted.
It's like spiritual warfare
I
going
know.
on here.
Oh my
Anyway,
gosh.
okay, tell me one more time.
What we find our identity in, number one. You know what? I'm just gonna skip that. Sorry. I'm just gonna cut the honk out because I'm not saying it again. Okay.
Of course.
Okay. I was watching our fall video. I sound so illiterate. Like you're constantly like, I'm like, okay, I can't think of this word, and you're like helping me with words and my grammar.
She's left her keys in the microwave before.